just started. Sorry, that was a false start. Starting again on this live. So, talking about the theory that Richard Allen may have been an accomplice to the Delphi murders. So, to start off with, anyone who follows me will know that I'm pretty firmly of the belief that Rick Allen is factually innocent and not involved in the crime at all. But I'm here to speculate, I guess, and to discuss other alternate theories. I'm somebody who has absolutely entertained various theories along the way and come to this point of believing that Rick Allen is innocent based on all of that research and thinking and speculation that I've done. Yes, Shibby, I started again because I stalled on the other one. I was rambling. So just talking about... Thank you. So maybe I'll just wait a couple of minutes to see if anyone else wants to join. But I guess before anyone else joins... Oh, hello! I've got a few of you guys here. Thank you for all joining. So I wasn't sure whether I was going to do another video, but I thought I may as well. So I was thinking about what I've been seeing in some of the people who believe Richard Allen is guilty, where they will suggest that he may be an accomplice of some of the other offenders, because I think a lot of us believe that this crime was not committed by one person because of the nature of the crime, because of the crime scene, you know, the big branches and, you know, just the effort that would have had to have gone into trying to, you know, abduct and murder and stage a crime scene the way that they did. So I think many of us would agree that, thank you for rounding everyone up and all coming. Thanks, guys. I'm feeling the love. So yeah, I think that most of us would probably think that this crime was committed by more than one person. So I will agree with that. But I don't believe one of those people were Rick Allen. So I'm just having a read of the chat. Yeah, Majesta, I don't think that Rick has anything to do with it either. And Kagan Klein could be involved. I'm not sure. Probably my bet is on more of the Vinlander Odin group. But yeah, I mean, it's possible that KK is involved as well. But I've been hearing like some pretty popular YouTubers who talk about Delphi suggesting that Kagan Klein and Rick Allen are somehow connected. And I kind of just wanted to see if we could debunk that. I mean, I can't obviously debunk it with factual information. I don't know, but just kind of thinking about it logically. So... Sorry, I'm rambling a bit, guys, so apologies for that. Just thinking out loud. So my sense here is that the crime was definitely committed by more than one person. Why do I not think one of those people is Rick Allen? Well, here's the thing. Rick actually is incarcerated. He has made these confessions, which I obviously don't believe, but I know obviously some people may. And what I'm kind of getting at here is that if he were confessing to the crime, then why did he not confess to there being other people involved in this crime? Why did he not then open up and share that there were other people involved, even if he didn't spill the details of who they were? The interesting thing is that the people who believe Rick Allen's guilty believe the confessions a lot of the time, but the confession doesn't talk about anybody else. It doesn't talk about him having accomplices or being involved in a gang of other people. So I'm not really sure why people would think that he was linked at all. Sorry, I'm so distracted today, so apologies, guys. It's not my best video. I'm just going to read the chat. Yeah, in terms of the Dropbox. I don't know enough about the Dropbox, actually. I probably need to find out a bit more about it. But yeah, I definitely think there's some sort of, there's an implication for people in law enforcement of the truth coming out. And that's my understanding of why there might be a cover-up here. Or not might be. I do believe that there is a cover-up here. And I think that whoever is involved in this crime, whoever was the perpetrator or perpetrators, do have some connection to some activity that is illegal and I believe that some law enforcement are also involved in that activity, or someone high up in, I don't know, in that sort of area is involved, and that's why there's a need to suppress certain evidence. So that would be my theory of what's actually happened in this case. And going back to why, again, I don't believe Rick is part of that, like, we haven't seen any evidence of Rick being involved in any sort of inappropriate, deviant activities or criminal activities. He has no links to any of these other potential third-party suspects. And I know that the same old story that comes up is, well, the phone from the time was missing when they did the search of his house. Well, first of all, I don't truly believe that that phone is missing. I believe that phone potentially is exculpatory, and therefore it's kind of helpful for it not to be available. But even if it were missing, people don't just have an era of deviance. It's not like he was only deviant between the years of 2015 and 2018, or however long it was that he had that phone. So if he has those sorts of tendencies, then you'd think he'd want to get rid of all of his phones, right? And then the other thing that you'd expect as well is that they've looked at the Google account. So realistically, you can get rid of a phone, you can't get rid of your kind of history in terms of what you've searched on Google. And yeah, there's plenty of other ways that you could kind of track down what he was involved in. So yeah, I just don't see any links to anybody else who is deviant or criminal, and I don't see a reason why Rick would then be in jail and confess, but not confess to there being other people involved. So then the next avenue that people go down as well, maybe he didn't tell on other people because he was scared. Okay, if he's really scared of these other people and they're threatening him and he feels he can't tell on them and he has to take all the blame, then why did he allow his defense team to get involved with looking into third-party culprits, right? So the defense team looked at Kagan Klein. They looked at the Odinist gang. They looked at other people, Ron Logan. So realistically, if Rick is so scared of these other people that he's not dobbing on them, sorry, I don't know if dobbing is actually a word that you guys use over in the States. I think it's an Australian word. But yeah, telling on them. He's not telling on anyone. So is it because he's been threatened not to? Well, then why would he have his defense look into these third-party culprits? Why wouldn't he just plead guilty and be done with it? Because I know people will say, well, maybe they were threatening Kathy or his daughter. The word is dobbing, Shibby. Dobbing, D-O-B-B-I-N-G. So it's quite a childish word. It's often what kids will say at school if they go and tell the teacher, you know, that somebody else ate a chocolate or something. So yeah, it's just a fun, I just realized as I was saying it that I was probably talking Aussie slang. Sorry guys, I'm really all over the place today. Probably wasn't the day to do a live. It's raining in Sydney. It's a pretty miserable morning, and I have been awake since 3 a.m. I think I took my ADHD meds a bit late yesterday and had a big therapy day, heavy therapy day, and then got home and I was just binge watching a show, and yeah, did not have a good amount of sleep. So this isn't representative of how I usually talk, but I actually had a minute free, so I thought this was a good time to hop on, because some of you guys would be awake, because usually my hours are different to you guys. And I just feel like I've kind of not done anything about Delphi in the last week. I've taken a bit of a break and feel like I'm kind of ready to get back into it again. So yeah, I've kind of gone around and kind of gone around on different tangents here, but just explaining why I do believe that the crime was committed by more than one person. I don't believe that it's likely that it was committed by one person, certainly not one person like Rick Allen, who is a man who had a heart condition and who was meek and mild and is a small guy as well. I believe that if it were a crime that was committed by one person, it would need to be someone who was very fit and strong and able to lure the girls off and, you know, commit the crime alone, and then use those heavy sticks to not conceal, but to stage the bodies. But I do believe that if there's multiple offenders, not one of them is Rick. As Majesta said, I don't think Rick was a massively social person either. I think, if we go into the psychology of Richard Allen, it sounds like his temperament was more sensitive and anxious. He had a lot of social anxiety throughout his life. To me, when we've got somebody who is in their 40s struggling from significant mental health issues despite treatment for decades, I'm querying the angle of neurodivergence as well. Just thinking that there's more to his story than just depression and anxiety. And I do believe that Rick possibly has never had a comprehensive assessment from a neurodivergent angle, to be honest, because I just think it's unacceptable for him to be in his 40s. And hi, Hebby. Nice to see you. Thanks, guys, for all coming and saying hello. Really kind of you. I was just saying, Hebby, this is not the best version of me today, but I'm just having a chat because I've got about half an hour free, and I was like, well, this is a time where you guys will be awake and may be able to come and join me. I'm going on a zillion different tangents, but just going back to Rick, I would love to sit down with him and do a full assessment. I would be doing screeners for ADHD, ASD, OCD. He really just presents to me as a man who has a more complex neurodevelopmental profile. And the reason I say that is because of some of the information, that we've seen from the psychological testimony of Dr. Westcott and Dr. Weiler. We're seeing a man who has such a long-term serious history of mental health issues. And as a clinician, I would be thinking there's something else underneath. There's something else going on underneath that sort of depression and anxiety. I would love to do a full screen of all of that. So the reason I got off on that tangent was just in relation to Majesta's comment around Rick and his social life. I get the feeling that he was a family man and focused more on family and work and maybe a very small social group. Sorry, guys, I'm reading the chat now. I don't have mods, Shibia. How do I do that? I'm not too sure how to make mods. You'll have to let me know. Majesta after 5. You can all be my mods if you like. I trust all of you guys. Oh, thanks, guys. Sorry. See, this is why I'm not very good at these lives, because I'm like reading and I can't do two things at once. I'm not multitasking. Well, I'll definitely make you guys my mods for sure, and I'll definitely do a live when my head is a little bit more organized next time instead of this impromptu one. But yeah, Majesta, when you watch those interviews, like you were saying, he didn't remember the details. He was manipulated. Hi, Oleg. Lovely guy. Nice, lovely to see you. The interrogation video was the thing that actually kind of pulled me more towards thinking Rick was innocent. I'd always kind of been on the fence and more leaning towards him being innocent, but when I saw those interrogation videos and I heard the phone calls, the quote unquote confessions, that was what sealed the deal for me. I was like, nope, I don't think this man is guilty. The interrogation, he's just so open and he gives so much information, and he's so polite. He's not guarded. He only really becomes guarded when he starts to really think that they are trying to frame him. And even then, and I quote this every single time, hey Quad, and that is, when he says, I don't want to be anyone's fall guy. Not that I'm doubting your integrity or anything. And when he said that, I'm just like, that's the sort of thing I'd say. Like, I don't want to upset you. I don't want to offend you. But like, I feel like you're like trying to put me in, in the role of the bad guy here, and I'm not. I think a lot of his personality really came through in the interrogation video, the first one particularly, where you get to see naturally like how he presents when he's not under high levels of stress. But even in the second interrogation, the way he handles Holman is actually really pretty fair, to be honest. He really isn't, you know, rude and aggressive like he could be. And yeah, I was very much more convinced of his innocence after watching that. So I'll try and figure out how to make you guys mods. I'm using this Prism app at the moment. I definitely need to get better at using YouTube because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to read the chat again. So Majesta, you're saying they were able to paint him as trying to hide info or getting rid of phone for nefarious reasons. Instead, they took 5 years to speak with him. Yeah, I absolutely think they do anything they can to paint him in a negative light. They were desperate. They're just grappling for information to use against him. I mean, they've built a case around him for sure. I'm still highly of the opinion that there is exculpatory information related to his phone records. It's just this missing detail that nobody seems to have kind of figured out. The fact is that they got those cell tower dumps. There are 2 cell towers in Delphi. That's not a lot, but my understanding is that one of the cell towers is closer to his house and the other one is closer to the crime scene. So they could actually have traced him to some extent. I believe that missing phone is suspicious. I believe it's more likely suspicious though on the side of law enforcement, because again, I think that phone potentially could have had, the capacity to give exculpatory evidence. I believe that the Hoosier Harvest Store footage has been highly edited to appear more like Rick's car. I don't trust any of that evidence, to be honest. I don't trust the bullet evidence. Not that the science in that is particularly valid either. There's just so many holes in this case. I agree, Majesta, they did manipulate every single piece of evidence. The thing is, I think the thing that disappoints me is that all of these pieces of evidence, I think, can be debunked, or at least, some really big holes can be kind of put into them. And I think, I don't want to be pretending I'm a lawyer here, but I just feel like the defense just solely focused on a few of those aspects and they missed other aspects that I think really could have been drilled into further. I really just don't think Rick should be sitting in jail right now. I don't believe that the case against him was proven. The Hoosier Harvest Store video, I just don't get it at all. Like, why do we only see stills? Why is it that the stills of the supposed Richard Allen car are poorer quality than the stills of witness vehicles? Why is it that they were allowed to label those stills Richard Allen when there was no formal identification of that car? I mean, is that not biasing the jury? Because they're looking at the exhibit saying, well, that's definitely his car because they've labeled it that way. There's just so many aspects to that Hoosier Harvest Store issue, like footage, that is super problematic. The defense stipulated to the inclusion of the Hoosier Harvest Store footage that was verified and collected from the FBI. But who took the stills of the supposed Richard Allen vehicle? Was that done by the FBI back in 2017 and just never mentioned, or was that only pulled up when it came to looking into Rick in 2022? Because if that's the case, then who's verified those stills? Law enforcement, Mullins, Holman, all the same old people who seem to consistently be involved in this case and consistently be involved in losing information, recording over things, forgetting things, saying things that are illogical. So yeah, I mean, Holman, Mullins, they're not really the people who I'm going to trust to be verifying information, let's be honest. So yeah, I'd love to know, did anybody actually check the FBI verified video and stills and compare it to the ones that were presented as exhibits? Why were those exhibits allowed with a label of Richard Allen on them when there's no identification done of that car to 100% confirm that it is the black Ford Focus. Like, it's ludicrous. So yeah, I think another concern, I guess, I'm just rambling about everything because I've got you guys here, so I may as well just ramble a little bit more before I go to personal training in a few minutes, about 10 minutes I got. I've noticed like so much online focus on Libby's phone. And we know the defense did this too. You know, they felt like their gotcha moment is the headphone cable or jack, you know, port being kind of activated. And to be quite honest, I do not think that's the gotcha moment. I feel like there are ways to explain it. I know people say, well, there was no evidence of dirt in the phone. There was no evidence of anything that is, you know, that could have created that. But from the research I've done, which of course is not anything, you know, close to digital forensics, so I'm not trying to say that I know better than the people who are involved in this, but I just think that there are other explanations. I mean, condensation, temperature changes, you know, there's so many things that could have impacted that phone, and I just don't really feel that there's strong enough evidence when we put together all the different things, the fact that the phone pinged from the Wells Tower consistently, the fact that there was no Apple movement, the fact that it did not connect to Wi-Fi, contrary to some of the things I've seen online around the Apple Music. It says the last time it connected to Wi-Fi was days earlier. The fact that that headphone cable thing doesn't make much sense. What makes more sense is that the phone went into deep sleep because it was inactive. It was, you know, potentially there were environmental factors in terms of cold. The signal may have been blocked because, of course, it was underneath the bodies of poor Abby. And then it reconnected at some point. That's actually not super unusual behavior for a phone. So my feeling is that chasing down the angle that the phone and the girls were moved and then moved back is kind of using up a lot of resources. It didn't work in the first trial. The headphone idea, I feel like they need to drop that. Not that, again, I'm in charge of the legal team, but I feel like there are so many better avenues to explore than that. I know people will say, like, they searched that area that night, you know, that the clothes were found in the creek, so, you know, the girls must have been moved. But again, when you look at the crime scene and where it's located, I don't think that would have naturally been the first place that people were looking if they feared that the girls fell off the bridge or, you know, were still wandering around on the trails. It was remote enough that it wouldn't have been the first place people looked. In terms of the things floating in the creek, well, at night it would be hard to see them. We don't know if they floated upstream or downstream. I just think the idea that the girls were moved, taken somewhere else, I don't think is it a possibility? Yes, but I don't think that it's the thing that you kind of want to hang your hat on. I think that there are other things that we could look into more deeply. So I'm just going to go back and read the comments. Yeah, Majesta, so he did drive the other car more frequently at that point, for sure. I always talk as well about Kathy's plates on the black car, the cat number plates, and I'm just like, gosh, you know, if you're going to go and commit this terrible crime in the middle of the day in broad daylight, it doesn't even matter if you're trying to conceal those plates. Those plates are going to be pretty damn obvious. So yeah, I mean, I don't know which car he drove. I have had that theory of, you know, did he maybe drive the black Ford Focus and did he park at the CPS? Potentially, and that could potentially be exculpatory because it seems that two people between the hours of 1 and 2 saw the car there, and Brad Heath, who was there earlier and later, did not see that car. He saw the Old Star car. So I have a theory that there were 2 cars parked in that area that day, and one of them is not the perpetrator and one of them is, and the old car is the one that I think is more suspicious. Don't worry about hogging the chat at all, Majesta. Happy for you too. It sounds like we're on the same page, and Quad as well. I feel like we're all kind of in agreement around this Hoosier Harvest Store stuff, and I think it's just so key. if I could get my hands on the discovery, which of course I can't, and if I had the tools to actually look at it, I would be definitely doing some analysis on those photos, those stills and the video. And the other thing I'd be doing is looking at the tower dumps and using Rick's phone number and Mead hex, which we know is on the PCA, and searching damn hard for where that was pinging at various points during that day. Because I think if we can show that Rick's phone pinged at the trails, earlier in the day or at some point, and then pinged again at home, closer to the time of the crime, then, to me, that's key exculpatory evidence, right? I agree, Shibby. If there was that damning photo of the car, why did nobody mention this car before? It doesn't make sense. If we take the Koberger case, they mentioned the Elantra in the really early days of the investigation. If they knew that there was this car heading towards the crime scene at the exact perfect timing, then why didn't they have an appeal for that car? Why did they wait years to do that? Why were they appealing instead for a car that was parked at the CPS between 12 and 5? That's an interesting point too. 12 and 5, not 1:30. So yeah, I'm just I don't know whether they've completely invented this car or whether this car was part of the investigation but was cleared and is not Rick's car. I don't know. It's hard to know without obviously having the original evidence. But I just feel like so much of this was hidden. The fact is that there was such a bulk of discovery, and the way that it's all been packaged up, this is the FBI verified video. So no one's going to look at that. They're going to say, well, the FBI wouldn't be tampering with it, would they? And I agree. I don't believe in a big conspiracy where the FBI would be involved. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I just think that, they package the information in a way that sort of blindsides kind of the defense, I think. And so, yeah. So just having a look at, so Majesty, you're saying, water debris shouldn't cause the phone to record data codes acknowledging hardware input. It would show a different code. Hey, Mino Dino. Yeah, look, I don't know, Majesta, to be honest. Yeah, I guess it's an area that I definitely don't have expertise in. So I probably can't speak to that being, my opinion on it necessarily being accurate. But I still just think it's not enough to be exculpatory for Rick. Realistically, I think there's better angles that they could look at. I think there's two issues in this investigation. There's trying to find the true offenders and perpetrators, and then there's the other side of it, which is trying to get Rick out of jail. And to be honest, I feel like that line is the one that's more likely to be fruitful, and at least in the immediate future. I think the goal is getting Rick the justice that he deserves, and then hopefully drilling down and actually finding out the true perpetrators. But I am concerned that that they may never be able to bring justice to the people who actually really did commit this crime, because I think that the evidence that would have done that has been hidden, and not just hidden, it's been completely deleted and never collected in the first place as well. So thanks everybody for joining me. Again, apologies, this is not my finest morning to do a live. I am surviving on about 3 hours sleep and just rambling a little bit, but I still thought that I may as well. I had some time free in my car on a rainy morning, and I thought, you know what, I will hop on and say hello to you guys. It's 10:30 in the morning here, and it's rainy and cold, and it's actually warmer sitting in my car right now than going inside. And I'm about to go to personal training, which I hate because I really don't enjoy training as much as I love my trainer. So if I could, I'd just stay in the warm car chatting to you guys all day rather than go to training. But I have to head off because I've got a tiny drive. It's like a 5-minute drive, and then I've got to get into some planking and some squats and all of that. Heavy. I do my personal training because post chemo I was like a little old woman. I couldn't actually get up off the ground, and so I decided to get involved with some training to kind of get some mobility back, and I've done that. I'm back to normal now, and that's why I'm like so hating PT, because I'm not a particularly not particularly into fitness generally. But just letting you know, if you do have any of those side effects from chemo, if you do feel like a little old woman and can't get up off the ground, it gets better. So I'm definitely stronger now. Yeah, so yeah, that's my ramble for today. I don't know if I made any particularly helpful points, but I am still here, and I'll still try and pop on and have a chat about Delphi. I'm not gonna let the haters stop me. I think the other day I just felt really over it and burnt out and just tired, but now that I've had a little bit of time to take a step back for a week and not be so overly focused on Delphi, I'm ready to like come back, but just going to be a bit more measured in how often I kind of am engaging in social media about this case, because it can definitely eat away at your well-being if you're in it too much. I will. I'll make you guys all mods, and probably what I'll try and do is probably next week, similar time, because this is a time that I'm usually available. Oh no, actually next week, this time I've got kids stuff at the school. But yeah, I'll do maybe Friday morning or a Thursday or a Tuesday morning, and I will definitely make you guys mods, and I'll definitely be a little bit more intelligible as well. And I'll let you guys all know when I start doing my psychology videos, because that was actually my main thing that I wanted to do. So if anyone's interested in my psych videos, I'll let you guys know. That'll be a different channel. I'll ask Diana. I'll send her a message and see if she can help me sort it out. I'm going to really figure out the YouTube stuff. I've actually got a really good camera set up as well, because yeah, the real channel that I had planned to do is a psychology related channel, which will have lots of stuff for people wanting to improve their well-being. But that will be a completely separate channel from this one, which is more my personal channel, just chatting about chemo and cancer and true crime. Yeah. Okay, well, have a lovely day, but have a lovely night, everybody, because I think you guys are all, no, thanks, Majesta. No, I loved the engagement. I just, I'm just scattered this morning. I'm just tired and haven't taken my ADHD meds, so I'm like struggling to multitask, but it was really, 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 really nice to see all of you guys, and thank you for the support. It's really heartwarming to have people who are willing to come here and have a chat with me. So have a great night. Speak soon. Bye.